Hello friends, this is Chandrakant from Akulmac Technologies. Welcome to Top Brass. And friends, as you know, we are on the journey of discussing human rights. And last week, we discussed one of the most important right for the Indian citizens, which is right to have freedom to follow their religion. So we have covered that what are the rights and what are the duties. Today we want to continue on the same thing and want to discuss with the specific case. And for that, I would like to invite my friend from Ahmedabad, Advocate Ms. Nagesh Sood. Nagesh is a very well-known advocate practicing in Ahmedabad High Court and also a very well-known human rights activist known across India. So with a lot of pleasure, let me welcome Nagesh.
Hello, CK. I hope you're doing fine and safe at home. Thank you very much for inviting me again to this platform.
Pleasure is ours, and I think today's discussion is about one specific case which is also called Sabrimalla case, and it is pending in the Supreme Court. While we have discussed last week that there is a freedom for every citizen to practice their own religion, what they feel is right for them. However, in the case of Sabrimalla, there are certain restrictions, and we would like to know from you. Firstly, what is this case all about, and secondly, why there is a restriction.
Yes, CK, if I talk about Sabrimalla's case, it was a recent decision given by 5 judges bench, which is a Sabrimalla judgment. It is about radical equality, gender equality, and sex equality. The case before the Honorable Supreme Court was that deity at Sabrimalla is in the form of Nashtika Brahmacharya, that is, Lord Ayappa is a celibate, and it was claimed that since celibacy is the foremost requirement for all the followers, women between the ages of 10 and 50 must not be allowed in Sabrimalla temple. The Supreme Court, having balanced the right of an individual to religion under Article 25 and right of the community of religion under Article 26(2), held that the claim by the people is in the form of an assumption that there is a celibacy and austerity observed by the followers which would caused or affected by the presence of women. It said that such a claim could not be sustained constitutionally as it affects and impose a burden of a man's celibacy on a woman and construct her as a cause for deviation from celibacy. It further observed that this forms a crucial link between denial of the right to worship and denying access to spaces to which women are equally entitled. Also, to suggest that women cannot keep the vrat is to stigmatize them and stereotype them as being a weak and lesser human beings. As we all know, the stigma around menstruation has been built up around traditional beliefs in the impurity of menstruating women. Such beliefs, the Supreme Court held that have no place in a constitutional order. These beliefs have been used to shackle women, to deny them equal entitlements, and subject them to dictates of a patriarchal order. The patriarchal order indicates that the exclusion of women from Sabrimalla is not simply a unique and particular feature of that specific religious community. Rather, the exclusion of women from Sabrimalla on the grounds of celibacy and menstruation is one among countless ways in which patriarchy as a social institution works to keep women in a position of subordination. We know that in India, temple entry movements have a long history and have always been framed in the language of civil rights and access to public spaces. This was especially true of the great caste-based temple entry movements of 1920s and 30s in our country. The caste and patriarchy acknowledges that discrimination is not limited to state action. That means it is not subjected to the government's action or even to hostile individual action, but this this flows from institutional design, because caste and patriarchy are neither the government or the state nor an agglomeration of individual acts where you can contribute or attribute discriminatory agency to identifiable individuals. In fact, they are social institutions, and because they are social institutions, their impact upon the lives of the people that they touch is not merely a private matter, it becomes a public matter. So the Supreme Court in Sabrimalla case applied the essential religious practice test in the case and held that claimants have failed to establish that exclusion from Sabrimalla, exclusion of women from Sabrimalla is either an obligatory part of a religion or has been consistently practiced over the years. So on both these tests, the claimants failed. The evidence at best demonstrates that celibate nature of Lord Ayyappa, but this in itself does not establish that exclusion of women is part of essential religious practice. So the custom and usages and personal law, though have a significant impact on civil status of individual, these activities that are inherently connected with civil status of individual cannot be granted constitutional immunity merely because they may have some associational features or community features which have a religious nature. So what it actually wanted to establish that community after all is crucial to self-development. Community cannot overtake an individual right, and groups can also restrict freedom and dignity, which has been done in Sabrimalla case. And in those circumstances, the court has to step in and balance the competing claims. So it was not about worship at Sabrimalla, but about the exclusion from worships uh, in context of women, essentially. So we have to take an example, like think of whites only signboard outside a restaurant in Apartheid, South Africa. The point there is not that one private restaurant owner has decided to exclude blacks from his private property. But the point is how that signboard is an integral element of the practice and institution of apartheid. So the constitutional rights are not isolated silos, rather they provide a cohesion and unity which militates against practices that depart from the values that underline the constitution, such as justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. So at the end, I would only like to say that an indispensable facet of an equal life is the equal participation of women in all spheres of social activity, is what the Honorable Supreme Court wants to hold in this judgment of Sabrimalla. The 5 judges judgment, of course, is subject to review by 9 judges bench, which has already started hearing. But as of now, the women have been allowed to enter the Sabrimalla temple, though it is not being followed, and there is a contempt of the order, the judgment of the Sabrimalla uh, judgment, which is also being supported by the Kerala government. So let us see how the uh, court holds, nine judges benches hold as to what has been held in Sabrimalla case.
Nagesh, as you know that we are discussing about uh, different judgment, and we have no intention to even comment on the Honorable Supreme Court or sentiments of the people. But we feel that, or personally, I feel that the religion is a part of society, and it has been created, or it is there, it exists along with the society, so that there is betterment of society. That means the society proceeds in the right direction. There are certain do's and don'ts defined. At the same time, the religion has to evolve as the mankind evolves, because it's all related to human beings. I mean, the elephants don't have religion. Other animals don't have religion. It's only the humans who have created a social fabric, and religion is part of that. So as we progress, religion has to also, uh, you know, just like Darwin said, that it has to evolve. So humans are evolving, so why not religion? So that is the whole premise from which we are coming. And I feel that whatever action religion tells us to do has to be logical in some nature. For example, you have beautifully explained that why women were not allowed, and there was logic behind it. But I think in old days that logic really worked, but nowadays it is gradually becoming irrelevant. So I personally feel that women should be allowed, but I think there has to be a logical conclusion to it, not only from the court, because court can only give a judgment and it has to be followed in letter and spirit. But I think the senior people of the society should also educate a lot of people in that area, or in the community, that why the law which was created 5,000 years back is no longer relevant, and therefore equal rights should be given to everyone. What is your opinion on this?
Absolutely. You see, CK, basically, there are various sections of our society who have been subjected to inequalities. Of course, there is a law now, there is a constitutional right under Article 17 against untouchability. Also, there are rights, equal rights for women or any other classes, or different genders now, different, they have been now treated equally. In the past, there were discriminations, they were subjected to, you know, kind of uh, subjugation, or there has been a system in the society which we called as patriarchal system, which subjected a lot of people into insubordination, or were treated as weaker section. But as you said, that we are evolving as a society, and we have to respect and the dignity of a human being, the individuality of a human being has to be respected. So there has to be a balance which is required to be created so far as the individual right is concerned, as well as the community right is concerned. You know that communities are formed for the betterment of an individual. If individual has to have progression, or he has to progress, of course he has to move in a community. So community is only for the help of that individual, and the community is there to see that a particular individual, you know, enhances his abilities, or is able to lead a very dignified life with all the rights which he must have, which we are addressing as human rights. So in that perspective, if we look at the today's situation and see that how the society uh, has been dealing with people in terms of, if we see the caste system, if we see the women who have been treated by a patriarchal society or a caste-based society, the changes have to be made, because ultimately, when we are talking of human rights, a human right can only uh, be protected if an individual is given equality in the society. If anybody is discriminated or is differently treated, I believe that that would not help that person to develop his personality to the fullest. And of course, that would mean that we are subjecting that person to uh, uh, insubordination, or he is being treated weak, or treated less than the other person. So that inequality has to be removed and must be removed in view of the evolvement of rights, which we are seeing every day by various judgments which have come now by the Honorable Supreme Court. So we have to take that aspect also.
Yes, Nagesh, now you talked about certain aspects from the legal standpoint and from the social standpoint. So let's look at what is the social standpoint. Now, in any religion, there are some good things or big deeds done by some individual. Eventually, they are worshipped as God, and their deeds are sort of followed by the disciples. So that is how they, basic premise of the religion. So in this case, when in Sabrimalla, the Lord basically had to kill a demon. So I don't know the whole story, but let's talk about few words about the whole background. And then the demon could be killed only when you follow certain lifestyle. So for 40 days, the Lord had to go up in the mountain, because Sabrimalla is a temple where he actually supposedly carried out this ritual so that he can kill the demon. And so he had to practice certain ways of living for 40 days. He has to let go all pleasures of life, and then after 40 days he became victorious, because he followed the 40 days very, very meticulously, and he was able to kill the demon. So what millions and millions of followers of the Lord do is create that 40 days period every year in their life. And it's like that, I declare myself as a servant or as a follower or a disciple, whatever, the feeling is in the mind of the person. And they copy that, whatever is written in the scriptures, how the Lord lived on daily basis, what did he eat, how did he sleep. So for 40 days, all the followers do the same thing, and they end their fast after climbing the mountain in Sabrimalla, and then once they actually do the darshan, then they stop their fast. So now when we say, so there is a whole lot of logic behind all of this, and women cannot be allowed because the Lord was not needing any women that time. Now, if there are millions of people who are doing this on every year basis, there is a fast for 40 days, there is a change in life, people don't wear footwear, they sleep on the ground on hard surface, they only wear black clothes, and then they go to the mountain to Sabrimalla temple and end their fast. How difficult or easy that would be to forget all this, because what we're saying is, now forget all this because this is your religion, but we are asking them to forget all this because we have to maintain equality from the legal standpoint. So that is where the challenge is. I feel there has to be some balance between how much, because the responsibility of evolution of religion is not entirely on the religious gurus. It is also on the society, and legal system is also part of the same society. So I think somewhere they have to come together to sort this whole issue out.
Absolutely, CK, because law is also dynamic. This society we live in is dynamic, and it is changing constantly. Now, what was the practice earlier? As you see, where there are beliefs in the society, there are certain things which are being practiced by people for a very, very long time. But essentially, what we have to strike a balance is about what whether the beliefs which are being practiced are affecting an individual's right, individual's freedom. When freedom are given under the constitution, whether those freedoms are affected by certain beliefs, and whether these beliefs, uh, you know, uh, overcome the tests which are essentially applied in cases by the courts. So those tests have to be brought in and have to be placed before people, that whether your beliefs can be taking away an individual rights to practice religion. So these are very important things, and as a changing society, as a developing country and a community, we must, uh, give a second thought, or we must change the beliefs in view of the fact that no individual is subjected to insubordination or subjected to any kind of discrimination. So everybody has to be treated equally.
So that is where the challenge is for the lawmakers. I believe by bringing a change in Sabrimalla, where women are also allowed to go to visit the Lord. I think by doing this, from the religion standpoint, the whole religion is getting dissolved, because the whole ideology behind Sabrimalla is something else. So I think it's a Herculean task, and I don't think we can discuss all that, because still decision is pending in the Honorable Supreme Court. So we'll wait to hear from that. But your opinion and the way you have described in a very meticulous way was very valuable. I'm sure viewers will be able to put sense in what is going on here after hearing you and your thoughts, Nagesh.
Thank you very much. It was indeed my pleasure, and give my views on the judgment of the Supreme Court in Sabrimalla case. Thank you very much, Chandrakant. It was pleasure being with you.
And Nagesh, we will meet again tomorrow to discuss some other aspects of human rights.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a good day. Bye bye.